Hey guys, welcome to another video of MaxiAspie, and as you could probably tell by the title, you know what I'm going to be talking about. So just before Christmas guys, I was sadly involved in a bit of a car accident. I'd like to say from the get-go that I wasn't driving the car, also the person that was driving the car wasn't their fault at all. We were basically driving on the main road and it had two crossroads and someone decided to pull out and he basically hit the side of us and basically it basically wrote the car off. You probably see a photo on the screen now of that car. The reason I wanted to talk about this was because being in that situation, I didn't really know what to do. I knew some basic things, like I needed to get their insurance details. Luckily we had a witness that pulled over and was able to sort of help. But it was sort of things like, do we ring the police or don't we? You know, what information do we get? Is it just insurance or do we need this? Do we need that? And obviously at the time you're very shaken, you don't really know what to do or say or anything like that. All I could say was 100% wasn't our fault. The driver who did crash into us also agreed to that, and luckily we had a witness who agreed to that as well. So, you know, there was on our part no fault of our own. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things that happen. However, today I wanted to talk about some tips I would give to people if you are ever to be in that situation. Hopefully, you know, you never are. But I just wanted to give some tips to neurotypical people, but also autistic people who might be in that situation. Because for me, being an autistic person in that situation as well was like times 10 anyway, because everything was like, didn't know how I was feeling, didn't really know how to cope with it, and yeah, was one of those things in my life which was overwhelming. And it's not my first car crash either, because when I used to get a taxi to school, the taxi driver, there was a guy that came down and he crashed into us as well. So it wasn't the first time. So two in my life so far, so it's going great. However, today I want to talk about some of the tips that might help you if you're ever in that situation. So the first thing I would do is obviously stop the car, put the hazard lights on, just make sure everyone is not injured, everyone's okay, and if there's any minor injuries, just make sure that you take note, because if you think you're fine and then a month down the line or 2 months down the line your head starts to hurt quite a lot and you remember, oh, I banged it, then you can go back and that can be a claim if that turns out to be something that is going to change your life, or you need an operation, or you're going to lose out on work or anything like that. So any minor injuries at the time, just make sure you write them down. If there's any major injuries, obviously make sure that you call an ambulance straight away and the police, and make sure that you can do everything that they advise you to do to help that person in that situation. The other thing was I never knew how I would actually react in that situation. I never knew if I'd be angry, I never knew if I'd be calm. Luckily I was quite calm, I was more shaken up rather than anything, but always remain calm. Even if it is the other person's fault, just remain calm. Just don't rise to that anger that you might be feeling at the time. At the end of the day, these things do happen. Pretty sure it was not happen deliberately, you know, it's just one of those things that happen. Just remember that when you're going through it. Don't let your emotions get the better of you. Just make sure you stay calm, relaxed, and just make sure that everyone is okay. The other thing as well is, if you know it, especially if you know it's not your fault, don't apologise or don't admit to anything, because that might come back to bite you from a legal point of view if the other person thinks that they might be able to get away with it. In our situation, I think everyone was very universally sorry, but at the same time, we all knew who was at fault, and that was obviously not us. So it was a weird one, because you sort of end up apologising for something that you're not really apologising for. I think we were all sorry that happened, but at the same time, we wasn't apologising for, you know, driving how we were meant to be driving. And therefore, yeah, but it's just one thing to bear in mind. On the other hand, if you feel that there's something wrong with the driver in terms of if they've been drinking or they may be under the influence, then you are fully within your right to call the police. If the car is blocking the road as well, you can call the police, because you need to be able to move that car as soon as you can. If you feel like the driver has been drinking or anything like that, and that's the reason as to why the accident has happened, then you're quite within your rights to call the police. If you also think that they don't have any insurance, you're quite within your rights to call the police as well. Obviously then get the details of his insurance, but these are the things that I sort of didn't even think about. The time and date of the crash, make sure you write that down at the time, make sure you get the car model, the make and model, everything like that, the other person's name. I think we even asked for the profession as well. I think the witness even asked for what his job was at the time. So just make sure you get all those details, contact details, email, phone number, that you're going to be able to contact this person with, obviously after you have to make an insurance claim as well, which can be incredibly stressful. And once you're all safe and you're all calm, you're all in a situation where you can take photos of the accident, make sure you record any details, but yeah, use your phone to take some pictures of what has happened. And if there's one thing I could do going back as well, is I really would have liked to have recorded the conversation just so I had it on my phone. Obviously everyone agreeing to that, because you don't want to be in a situation where you're recording people and they don't know, but I would have liked to have done that looking back, because it's very hard to remember things when something like that happens. But guys, those are just some of my tips on what to do in that situation. I'm no expert on that, but I just wanted to tell you guys what I'd gone through, what helped me, and what things I would sort of do differently, you know, in order to sort of remember that situation a bit more. But, you know, I'm just glad that everyone was okay. Obviously glad it wasn't our fault and we didn't cause that to happen, and that everything was sorted in the end. But guys, tell me about your experiences down below. Tell me if you've been in a similar situation like this. And guys, thank you for watching as always. Take care and goodbye for now.